Ladies and gentlemen, I have thought long and hard about this over these last couple months, and I think we need to go to my favorite place of reflection to talk about this. So let's go. Come on. All right, come on out with me. Come on. Take a look at this. Look, take a look. I love this place. Okay, all right. Look, we made it here. We made it into the middle of the ocean. I don't think this is the angle we wanted, but I wanted to preface this video by saying I am kind of tired with The Walking Dead. And this started a bit of a controversy when I talked about it in my Comic-Con reaction video. Within the comments, we're going to adjust the angle and we're going to talk about it. So let's do that. Okay. We should be in a much better spot now, I hope. Definitely let me know. But to kind of elaborate to the point that I just made, yes, in my last video discussing Comic-Con and all the trailers we got, whether it was Dead City, Daryl Dixon, or anything of the sort, I got a little backlash for the same stuff that I've seen on many videos, and I wanted to talk about it. I also wanted to elaborate on my feelings about the Walking Dead universe as of late, so we're going to jump into all of that in this video. The first thing that I want to say about this is these comments that I received on the video. Look, I think all discourse is good discourse. I genuinely do. Discussions about anything is good when there's differing opinions. The problem I have is when someone tries to say you can't hate something or that you're just hate watching and it's ruining the fandom. And I'm not trying to single out this one individual because I've seen it before. Guys, someone else, and I'm going to put these comments here because I don't remember the names off the top of my hand. Someone else mentioned that, you know, when you have a sports team, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, right? And we've sucked for a majority of my life up until these past couple years. But you're still a fan, right? So when they have a shitty season, you're vocal about it because you're a fan. It's the same thing with TV. It's the same thing with anything, realistically. If you love something and you have such an, an admiration for something, it's not always going to be good, and you as a fan are allowed to vocalize that. That's what I'm doing. I'm using my free speech to vocalize it, and I'm getting a little too sappy over this shit, but seriously, that's what this really comes down to. The idea that I have to love every single thing that comes out of something is not real. There's nothing natural about that. And as a matter of fact, you shouldn't love everything. That's how we get better things, right? If things aren't good, you're supposed to vocalize it so they get better. That's the way life has worked. That's the way this country works. That's the way that everything operates. If you just sit and complicitly just acknowledge that everything is fine, that's how things don't work. As a matter of fact, if you're in a relationship, right, and things aren't working well, you're not going to be like, yeah, everything's fine. No, you're going to talk about it. I'm getting way too philosophical on this goddamn shitty show. I really am. But seriously, the overall point that I'm trying to make within this video is the fact that when you're a fan of something and things aren't good, it's your duty to vocalize it. Is it my duty to like come out here and just hate watch or whatever? No. Is it my duty to even post? No, it's really not. I just love this show. I love all of the universe overall, and I have opinions on when the show does things that I don't like. So I'm going to talk about it. But that's the whole backstory of all this controversy. I can't stand seeing the comment, if you don't like it, don't watch. It's not that I don't like it. It's just there's things that I'm sick of. There's things that I want to see get better. There's things all of the above. And as a fan, I want to vocalize that. Not only did I create this channel so I could do that, but I created this channel to talk about things that I like. That's kind of the whole point. It's not to talk about things that I don't like. Unfortunately, it's kind of fun to talk about things I don't like, but I don't go out and seek things I don't like. It's just fun to rip on things when I have something to rip on, too. At the same vein, do you know what I mean? I'm not out here trying to stir the brew of hate watching. That's never, ever my goal as a content creator. My goal is to talk about things as candidly as possible. And I just happen to like when I hate something because it makes it more fun to talk about, because naturally speaking, I'm an angry, loud Italian, okay? Regardless, that being said, I do want to actually talk about the meat and potatoes of this video. The meat the potatoes, all the things. The Walking Dead. The whole universe overall, I'm personally a little bit sick of, to be completely honest with you. Does that mean that I'm going to stop watching it? No, because I'm a fan, and I like the show, and I want to see these shows get better. But after The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and after everything that had happened within that show, naturally, I just do not have the same interest that I once did in the show. The glue, that connective tissue that held me together, was Rick Grimes. And without it, it's not like I'm just going to give up on the show. It's not like I have no interest at all anymore. And there's a seagull right here. I don't know if you could see it. Look at this thing. That thing was getting really close. That thing was getting really close. But the overall point is, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, specifically with Rick Grimes, was that connective tissue that held me together within the universe. Without it, and with him being done, it changes things a little bit. I still like the overall world that they've built. I love characters like Daryl, Carol, Negan, Maggie. So those reasons alone, them being there, is enough for me to see what happens. I just don't feel the same way anymore now that The Walking Dead is over. Mainly, the Rick Grimes story is over. And here's the thing. If they had just done one thing with The Ones Who Live, I think that would have drastically changed. You could have kept everything with the story the same, except the killing of the CRM. If you had kept the CRM around, I think my intrigue into this next phase of The Walking Dead would be a lot higher, because we have more to care about within the show. Do you know what I mean by that? Without the CRM, without this existential threat that they've built for 5+ years within the medium, it just feels empty now. And it's not, and I realize it's not because of Rick Grimes. It's because that was the biggest existential threat. And sure, Beale talked about how the real existential threat is how we have only 14 years left to live or something like that within this universe because of resources and all of that stuff. I think that's bullshit. I think that was just propaganda or whatever. And even with that being the case, that is not real fear. That is not real of an existential threat. Honestly, like, sure, they're going to try to make that out to be, or at least they did within the terms of the show itself. But it's not an actual threat. The real threat was the big bad, the army of thousands that Rick said in the very first episode he spent years trying to escape from, and yet they just managed to blow it all up like it was nothing, like it was Fear the Walking, or like it was Game of Thrones Season 8, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss writing. You know what I mean? Like, when you lose that big bad, that big existential threat that you have, and yeah, you try to replace it with, oh, the world's going to be dead in 14 years, that's not a real threat. I'm not worried about that. I don't think you should be worried about that either, because it's not. It's just not a real threat. So my overarching thing is losing the CRM as your big bad and having what could have been like an endgame sort of thing. Not that I really want to see kind of like an Infinity War style story. I really don't. But losing your biggest endgame threat that quickly ruined it for me. It just did. Now I don't have interest anymore. Rick got home safely, and even though I didn't like everything that happened to get him home safely, he's there, he's back, story's done, finito, done. You know what I mean? Yes, there's other people in other places, and I want to see how they get back home, sure, but that was a fabricated thing that Scott Gimple made just so he could keep the ratings up. You know what I mean? That's why, realistically, I don't have the same intrigue that I once did. Will I watch to see how all of those things come together? Yes, that's what AMC is banking on, people like me to watch these shows and still keep the ratings up and blah, blah, blah. That's what they're banking on, but it's the honest to God truth. I'm going to watch. I've been invested in the Walking Dead universe for years and years and years. And yes, the main story is done now. It is. Rick's back. Everything's set, the main story ended, blah, 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 but we still have all these little things outstanding, and while I don't care about them nearly as much as I cared about Rick, it still is holding me into the Walking Dead universe, and it's something. That's how I feel. Are these going to be shows on the same spectrums as Game of Thrones at its peak, or even House of the Dragon now, or even other shows that are out right now, like The Bear or Succession? No. No, these shows suck. They're not good shows. They just aren't. Like, yes, they're good for The Walking Dead, but they're not on the same level as some of the best that win Emmys year after year. You know what I mean? They're not comparable. But will I watch? Yes, because this series and this franchise has a special place in my heart. So the idea that I would give up watching it because I don't care about it right now, or I don't feel the same way I did, to me is asinine. I understand how to some people it's like, well, no, it's still true. If you don't like it, don't watch. Look, I understand that argument overall, like I do, but my heart is still in this franchise, and that's not going away yet. The day it is, I'll let you know, but I still want to watch. And I think some of you are in the same boat, so be sure to be subscribed because we are going to be watching these shows, and we're going to be talking about them on the channel. But yeah, that's the video. That's all I wanted to talk about, was to elaborate on my feelings and explain why I don't care about The Walking Dead anymore. Yeah. Well, thank you for reflecting with me. I really appreciate your time today, sitting back and reflecting while I drive in a car, as if you were a passenger. This is a little sus, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, how you feel about everything we talked about in this video, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.